From SBI's Executive Briefing Center in Dallas, Texas, the most watched and listened to content in B2B sales and marketing, it's the SBI Podcast with your host, Matt Shares.
Welcome to SBI TV, a weekly show dedicated to helping you make your number. Today we're going to demonstrate how a sales leader should leverage customer experience, otherwise known as CX, to enhance your key account program. So why is this important? Customers' expectations have risen, and failure to provide an exceptional experience and outcome can result in poor revenue growth. Right now, CX is a top priority for CEOs, and that makes it automatically a top priority for sales leaders and marketing leaders. If you dismiss customer experience and you're not thinking about this as your job, you will get passed by your peers. So A-player sales leaders need to understand the importance and its impact on future revenue growth. So Mike and I are going to demonstrate how to drill into customer experience and its impact on your top accounts. My name's Matt Shares. I'm the CEO of SBI. I'm also your host. Joining me today in the studio is Mike Balow. Mike's the Executive Vice President of Sales and Applications for Cypress Semiconductor. So Mike, first off, welcome to the show. It'd be great for you to introduce Cypress to the audience and then introduce yourself to the audience.
Thanks, Matt. So first off, I'll take a couple minutes to introduce myself. So I've been a sales executive now for about 10 years. I started with IDT and then moved over to Spansion.
Which was also in the semi business,
Yeah.
so you've forgotten more about semiconductors than most will know.
And then when we had the Spansion-Cypress merger, then I became head of worldwide sales and application at Cypress. So I've been at Cypress now about 3.5 years since the merger. A little bit about Cypress. We're a $2.5 billion company, and we provide embedded solutions into really three segments: automotive, industrial, and consumer.
Got it. So I would be, if you think about Cypress, you're everywhere in my day-to-day life, from the map, what powers the map in my car, to when I pick up my iPhone, to when I turn on my TV, to probably my DVR, every probably electronic device. You guys are doing something to either create memory or power it. Is that a fair assumption?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're across the board. We specialize in a variety of areas. So we've got our memory division, which makes up about 40% of our revenue, and then we've got the microcontrollers, and then we've got a number of other products that are both wired and wireless. Most recently, we acquired Broadcom IoT business about 1.5 years ago, so that got us really big into the Internet of Things as well.
So, and then I'm always curious, and I think I know our viewers are. So, how did you first come to know SBI?
So I think it's been a decade now, Matt, since you and I first worked together and your team. So we first started working together at IDT. And we had a number of different projects that we did there. And then when we did the merger of the Spansion Cypress, we brought SBI in again to help with the key account initiative.
10 years ago, I had no more hair than I have now. So despite what everybody is thinking that Mike caused it to fall out, this was more an act of God than anything else. So obviously good to see you and appreciate the long-term relationship, and great to see the success that you have had, and obviously watching the enterprise value of the companies that you've been in. That's a nice plus sign when everybody wins.
Thanks, Matt.
So if you're watching or you're listening out there and you enjoy getting SBI content, there's usually 2 to 3 shows that are released every single week. If you're an iPhone user, just download the SBI app to have access and notifications, and you can listen to it, watch it on your commute, your travel, your CrossFit, anything you want. Just search for Sales Benchmark Index in the App Store and download it to your phone. All right, let's jump into the questions. And in this first segment, Mike and I are going to discuss how to embed customer experience into a key account program. So if you remember, CX, it's a top initiative for most CEOs. So if you're watching or listening to this, you're thinking about customer experience, what your peers are doing. We are very early in this. Many people think this is a marketing effort. This is an everybody effort, right? So Mike, you go out, you have a key account program. You make all of this effort to recruit these top clients, have them say, I want to participate, have them say, I'm going to sign up to a set of things. Cypress is signing up to a set of things. I mean, this is a massive bet. So relative to customer experience and thinking about that, what went into the thinking at Cypress, and how do you guys pay attention as a company to this construct of customer experience design?
So a good question, Matt. So we're very cognizant of what we're doing in terms of customer experience. We think that's paramount in really having a good key account program. So we look at everything for the customer experience. You talked about the opt-in program. So we do show the customer exactly by opting in what they're going to get.
So the customer literally says, so the first thing you should take away when Mike and I talk about opt-in, think about the experience as a customer that says, I'm going to overserve you. These are a set of things that you're going to get. But in opting in and saying, yes, I want to participate, there's also a set of things that the customer says that they're going to do to be in a key account. So we sort of have this quid pro quo that happens.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, Mike, you go and you do that. Some people think about customer experience as a marketing effort, but that's a very sales-oriented, relationship-oriented effort. Marketing is going to support that with things, but why did you take that approach, and why has it worked so well for you guys at Cypress?
So, looking at the customer experience side, we look at every function inside of Cypress as a selling function. Yep. It doesn't matter what you do, and it can be engineering, design, whatever. They're all part of that customer experience. So if you're late on delivering a part, that is a negative part of it would be a negative impact to the customer experience. So, we look at all aspects of that customer experience. So it is some of a marketing effort. So it's a branding, it's the data sheets, all that. It's a selling effort, but it's really giving them that white service or white glove service. Yeah.
So then, thinking about that in the construct of key accounts, is there a clear delineation between the experience and the outcome that you drive with the key accounts versus what you might do at the next segment and the next segment? Because you can't overserve everybody.
Yeah, you're right. So that's a good point. You've got to really have a delineation on these 7, right? We have 7 key customers. And then there's maybe 20 strategics below that. So we do try to roll what we did into the key accounts, a lot of that into the strategics. And then as you obviously get lower into the number of customers, that level of service goes away. But so on the key accounts themselves, we definitely have a different level of service that we provide.
And then, Mike, to help the viewers think about this as an order of magnitude. So 7 clients in the key account program on a customer base of
35,000.
35,000.
Yeah.
Not a math guy, but thinking about how you deliver impact. So think about the bets you're making. 7 in the key account program, done thoughtfully with this opt-in approach and a very shared motion. And then 20 in the strategic program. So what are the bets you're making relative to customer experience with your top customers? Because if you are going to be somebody who allocates people, money, and time to customer experience, you got to make trade-offs. One of the trade-offs that Mike and the team have made is they recognize the impact that customer experience has in those top accounts, and they're overserving them because of the lifetime value, because of what the potential that they have. So then, knowing that, Mike, if there were a couple of initiatives that you guys have rolled out in the construct of that key account program the last couple of years that you think have positively impacted, your selling motion and the experience, share that with the audience.
Yeah, so one of the big initiatives I think that we get, and this is one of our asks, is having the roadmap alignment sessions or working with architects inside those companies. So one of the key points, Matt, is when we pick the key accounts, we're also picking leaders in each one of those segments, automotive, industrial, and consumer. And so what we hope to do is, as we get these roadmap alignment sessions going, we're developing products 3, 5, 7 years out in time. And by doing that, we're developing for the leaders in those segments. So hopefully the fast followers in those segments are also going to be adopting those products.
And I have to think that if you're working on the future and you're 3 years and 5 years ahead, you've gone beyond a traditional customer relationship. You're beyond a partner relationship. It's truly like you're one company, almost operating with like your own P&L.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do the customers respond to that over-allocation? Because if I was a customer and you came to me, I would say that's a massive bet you're making, but I would probably feel a level of obligation, right, if I opt into that, to make sure I'm reciprocating. So how have the 7 changed? have the different things that you're doing relative to that product roadmap? Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the 7, year over year, we've had a little bit of change. We try not to have too much disruption.
Yep.
But, if a company's going a different direction or they sold off a big chunk of, and it's just not aligned well anymore, we have made changes. But we try to maintain consistency on the customers that we've picked.
Very good. And then my last question on this segment. So, got the 7, made this bet. How do you make sure, because you don't run marketing, how do you make sure marketing's in the boat with you and they have the same level of over allocation? Or do they have the same level of over allocation?
Yeah, they do. That's a good point. I mean, the marketing and sales, the two heads, we're very much aligned, and we spend a lot of time strategizing, going over where we're at. We actually have dashboards, checklists, those kind of things to make sure we're getting the right outcome. It's a very measurable program. Yeah. So we put a lot of metrics in place to see, are we getting the right results, the right outcomes after the investments we're making?
And and then knowing what I know about your business and just your industry relative to metrics, is it a 10 metric dashboard? Is it a 20 metric dashboard? Like, so the audience can kind of think about, because that's great that you have the alignment. It almost sounds like it's more of a partnership than it is an alignment. So that's great. You're totally in pursuit of the right outcomes and experiences. That's great. How many metrics?
It depends on the customer. I mean, every customer is different, and as we've set up the key account program, every one of their needs are different, and that's the best thing about it, right? It's tailored for the customer.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so, we may have 10 for one customer, 12 or 15 for another, but it really is customer dependent on how many of the metrics we put in place.
Okay, so what should you take from this first segment? You're going to have a key account program. You're going to make over allocation decisions. Sales and marketing don't get aligned. They partner, right? They're looking at the same accounts. Number 2, purposeful over allocation into these right accounts based on a set of criteria where sales and marketing go, yep, those are the ones we're making big bets on. And the third piece is customization. As Mike said, it's got to be tailored. So if you're going to be custom and you're going to create this amazing experience and a business outcome, you've got to make sure that it's tailored all the way to the metrics. All right, very good. So, Mike, as we go into this next segment, I want to shift our focus a little bit to strategic planning and how one thinks about planning for the upcoming fiscal year. And when some of the folks are watching and viewing this, they'll be getting ready for 2019. So, and you're an early adopter of customer experience, but starting with the planning cycle, how would you give some advice to folks as they think about planning?
So I like to start about 18 months out, and our company is really on that same wavelength across the board. When you think about planning, you've got to look at really initiatives that the corporation's doing and what you need to do to achieve those initiatives, whether it's revenue, headcount. If you're investing in certain markets, certain products, does that headcount change for sales? Does it change for marketing? So that's really what we're in the process. We're in the early stages already right now of 2019 planning.
And then when you think about the starting early, but then also the iteration throughout the year, so how do you make sure that as a plan's getting built and you're working on the business, you're still in the business. You still got to deliver a quarterly number. You have expectations that the street is holding you personally accountable to. So how do you manage the near term with the longer term?
So the near term is, it's every day, right? So, I spend my days, working days, really managing the quarter and the next quarter. And then, sometimes it's nights and weekends or whatever, kind of getting planning sessions for next year. So we do meet as an executive team, and we will meet, weekends, that kind of thing, to start fleshing this out. And together, we'll have 2 meetings, kind of kickoff meetings to kind of get going. And then separately, we'll do each of our planning, then come back, a number of times, to lock in the annual operating plan sometime around November.
So one of the things I observe with people when they're planning for the upcoming year is they struggle to have a fact base that everybody pulls from. And what I mean by that is sales leader, marketing leader, CFO, head of customer success, CEO are all drinking from different cups. And as a result, sometimes it's anecdotes, sometimes it's imperfect data. So how do you normalize? And is there a process that you all use that says, okay, industry's growing X amount, competition's growing Y. Relative to share of market, we've got this. Relative to awareness, we've got this. Like, is there a way that you normalize the fact base so that as people go off and make their asks and make reallocation decisions, it doesn't turn into who shouts the loudest that wins that wins all the budget?
Sure. We do use a lot of analytics to set the company number, for instance. So we'll look at, salespeople can only forecast what they know. And if you don't know what you don't know in 2019 or 2020, it's hard to forecast it. So we do look at a lot of market data and look at where the industry is going. If we want to be growing faster than the industry, then we'll look at the sales forecast and then sort of a tops-down number as well. And then together as a leadership team, we've got a very good leadership team, and we do sit and look at, if this is a growth area and we want to invest, is you put more people, more money in this area. And I think we come out of it really with a good consensus at the end of that planning period.
Is there anything relative to sort of the in-quarter reallocation? So how often, once you guys set budgets, are budgets set, or is there the ability with you and your marketing peer to sit down at the end of the quarter and say, okay, we over-indexed, in whatever, end market Y. We had a set of assumptions that have now been proven untrue.
Right.
We're going to reallocate for the next quarter. What is that back and forth?
We'll do a little bit of that, but we really try to stick to our annual operating plans each quarter. And I mean, if I'm running a little bit over, I'll try to dial it back a little bit in certain areas. But we do share. If I've got extra budget and we're looking at a tool that benefits both marketing and sales, then we'll go ahead and share, and we'll reallocate.
All right, very good. So a couple things as we wrap this up. So Mike, I guess if I was to put a bow around this, number one, big bet on customer experience, but being purposeful in terms of how you think about your customer stack, key accounts, strategic accounts, and then what you guys have done obviously through distribution and partnerships, right? You're very purposeful. So if you're watching this, if you have $1 of labor, how have you allocated your $1 of labor against your customer stack that you're over-indexed to those customers who have the greatest lifetime value and who are in alignment with where you are headed relative to why you get up and what it is you do. And that's one of the things I heard from you. Second was the partnership with marketing relative to how you set the budget. I think partnership's better than alignment, and it's more than just saying, I'm aligned with you. It's like, hey man, we're in the boat together, right? This is what we're gonna do. And then number three, Mike used a term, annual operating plan. When you have an operating plan, it tells you how you're going to allocate people, money, and time. You've got a set of metrics, and you're working against that. And I know that there's a lot of rigor in how you guys do that. So I think that's a big takeaway. Yeah. All right, very good. Well, hey man, appreciate you stopping by. Always great to see you, and appreciate the contribution.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, and as always, the SBI audience, you have a choice where you put your eyes and where you put your ears. You spent some time with us, and I'm very grateful for that. So thanks for the continued support. That's it for today. As always, until next time, I wish you good luck as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on the studio, SBI's Executive Briefing Center, our team, or to schedule a workshop, please visit salesbenchmarkindex.com.